Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this really neat card with a ribbon closure. So let me just show you the card that I'm going to be making. It opens up just like that, and then you can decorate this however you want. You can use this for wedding invitations or birthday party invitations, and it's got this really neat ribbon closure. So let's get started. So what you're going to need is a 12 by 4.5 strip of paper. I used black, and this is going to be the base. And then you're going to need a 4.25 by 4.25 piece of patterned paper and a 2.5 by 4.25 second piece of paper. Okay, and you're also going to need a piece of 6-inch super skinny ribbon and either a medium to small hole punch or some flower hole punches or die cuts. I used a quick cuts die cuts. And then you're also going to need 2 brads and a paper piercer. So let's get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to make our first fold, and the first fold is going to be at 4.5. So I'm just going to use this little ruler here, and you don't have to be real exact on this. So these folding measurements don't need to be too exact in case you want to make your own custom sized card. And then we're going to do a second fold. From the first fold, we're going to measure up 5 inches. So go up to 5 inches, which is right about there. Usually I would use my scoreboard for this, but this is fast and easy for me, so I'm just going to show you this way. So go ahead and reinforce those folds with your bone fold. Okay, so there's the base of your card. You want there to be a little bit of an edge here because it looks really nice when you open the card. Okay, now we're going to glue this sheet of patterned paper to the front cover, because it's really fast. And remember, this sheet is your 4.25 by 4.25 piece of patterned paper. So, and I made this is a little smaller than the base cardstock because I want this to have a black edge. It just looks really nice and finished. Now I'm going to make this really nice curvy edge that was on this card. And all I did for that was I freehanded it. So I just and you can freehand any type of design you want, or you can use some funky scissors to do this as well. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same design. Okay, so now I need to get this piece of paper to be the same design to fit inside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip this into the fold, and this sheet of paper is already cut so that the sides border. So now I'm going to take a pen and make sure you line this patterned piece of paper with this patterned piece on the sides. That way when you cut this design, it'll fit in there perfectly. So just take a pen, and you can draw right over the top of this because you're going to cut past the line, and just copy that curve onto that patterned paper. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut just a little bit under that line, probably about maybe a little less than 1/4 inch. So just follow along the curve. Just like that, super easy. Easy enough to freehand. And then this piece should fit on there perfectly. So now I'm going to glue that down. And I'm not being too careful with my glue since this is just a demonstration. But if you're going to be sending this out, you want to make sure that you have everything nice and neat so it looks good. Okay, so now I've got And I'm almost done with this card. So now I've got both pattern papers glued down to my base cardstock. Now we're going to make the ribbon closure. So take your die cut flowers or your hole punched pieces of paper, and you don't want it, you're going to make holes in the middle of this, but you don't want to use a hole punch for this because we're going to use those brads and we want them to be pretty tight. So take your paper piercer and eyeball where the center of that flower is and just poke a little hole. And do the same thing with the other. And I'm just going to poke this through to make a little bit of a bigger hole. And I used some basil paper to make these flowers. You want to make sure you want to make sure you use a heavyweight cardstock for this. Okay, now I'm going to take my, actually, let me do this part first. So now you need to position these where you want them on the envelope. You could do it on the side here, or you could do it in the middle. So I'm just going to do mine in the middle like I did the other one. So we'll just figure out where the middle is on here. And it looks like it's going to be at 2.5 inches. So I'm eyeballing this again, and I'm just sticking these pretty much at the 2.5 mark there. And I'm putting these pretty close together. Then I'm just going to take my paper piercer again and make a small little mark as to where those holes are going to go. Okay. And I'm just going to make a hole all the way through there. You don't want to make the holes too big. Okay, there we go. Now you're going to take your, pick out your brads that you want to use. I'm going to use some pink ones this time. Then you're going to take your piece of ribbon and you're just going to fold this ribbon at the tip about 1/4 inch. So make that fold in there, and then you're going to take your paper piercer and you're just going to work your way through that ribbon to make a little bit of a hole. So take that brad after you've put it through the flower and stick it through that ribbon. And you want to stick it through both layers. This brad's not closed very well, so it's a little hard for me to get it in there, but I got it. Okay, so then you're going to trim off the leftover top layer of the ribbon that is sticking out of the flower a little bit. So trim that end, and then what you'll want to do is take some glue, some fast drying, really thin glue. I'm using 2A glue by Zig Memory System, and just dab a little bit on that tip of that ribbon so that it doesn't fray and the ribbon won't pull apart. Then what you're going to do is stick it through that top hole of the card. And close it. And then you're going to take the other brad and the other flower, and I'm sorry, yeah, brad. So I almost said eyelet. So stick that through that flower and then stick it through the second hole in the bottom. You can use eyelets for this too, but I like using the brads because it's more of a finished look. So now you've got your little ribbon closure. And you're going to have to work this just a little bit so that this ribbon will slide under there nicely. And the way that I do it is I put my thumb on the brad and I just pull it, and it makes the paper turn up so that the ribbon slides under there nicely. And I'm not going to do the inside piece of paper. I'm just going to tell you what size it is. If you're going to do like an invitation and you want to put another piece of paper on the inside, the measurements for this are 4 3/4 by 4 1/4, and that'll leave a nice border. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave comments or ask me any questions or leave requests for future tutorials. Thanks guys, have a great day.